So hey, is this the reception for the book doctor? I know it's crazy. Do you know what's crazy? I don't remember seeing you last time I was here. I just walked straight in. Oh, it's a new edition, is it? Oh, the book doctor's been getting a lot of people coming in. That's interesting. I mean, yeah, the waiting room's kind of full. So I'm just here for my appointment. So I can just go. Actually, I was wondering, does the book doctor have a name or anything? Oh, it's a need to know basis thing, is it? Right, of course. No, it's just I was curious because, like, you go to your GP and you go and see Doctor So and so, or you go and see the dentist and it's Doctor So and so, but the book doctor just the book doctor. Right, no, of course. I understand you're just the receptionist and you're not my book doctor, and I need to go in for my appointment. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So it was nice talking to you, though. Catch you later. So what do you mean? What brings me in here? Didn't the storyologist tell you? Like, you seem to be in cahoots usually, but you don't seem to know why I'm here this time? All right. Um, well, I mean, I was referred back to you. You should know, no? All right. I'll just start. I mean, no, I shouldn't just start talking. You're the book doctor. I mean, I already had a lengthy conversation with your receptionist. I wasn't even expecting that. Last time I just went in. And what's with all the people you got in the waiting room? I just thought, oh, no, no, of course, I didn't think that you were just my book doctor, like my personal thing. Like, no, no, I wasn't gonna say therapist. I don't, no, no, I don't see you like a therapist. I see you like a book doctor, of course. Like, what else would I see you as? Because you are the book doctor, no? But I was just curious about all the other. No, I shouldn't. Patient doctor privilege. No, of course, I can't. I wasn't asking you about their conditions. I was just. No, 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 I don't. All right, fine, look. So, what, why am I here? I know I should know. Like, I don't know. You're the doctor. I'm just a patient, humble narrative nomad, just drifting between narratives, stories, collecting perspectives. You told me all about it last time I was here, and now I have it. And there's also no cure. What about the books? I seem to have a lot. There's a there's a perfectly reasonable explanation why I have a lot of books with me. Just look. There's there's a perfectly reasonable explanation why I have so many books with me. It's you're the book doctor. You told me is, but look, this isn't a part of my prescription. You prescribed me books, see, and see, the main stack of the books is like I don't know how do I even put this into words? I mean, obviously it's easy. I know I did it, but it's just a thing. So basically, look, at work there were these books, and the people at work, they know I love books. They know about my book tendencies, and they said, Corey, look, there's these books there. And I was like, nice, books. They don't have a home. So since the books never had a home, and I do have a home, it was just, one of those things like, why couldn't I just adopt them? Adopt the books? Yeah, it's a thing that people do, no? Like, a book that doesn't have a home, that deserves a home, could come home with me. No, it's all part of my thing. The narrative, nomadism. No, I understand that obviously most people, they just find a book, but I happen to hit the jackpot. I have managed to adopt 5 books. They're completely random books, so random to me. Like I never heard of any of them, but I'm going to, and I'm intrigued to read them. So the first one here is called Fishbowl by. Sorry, the name is covered by a label. What's that saying? I think it might be Sarah Minowski. And it seems literally, this is probably the first time I'm reading the blurb. One of the descriptions says, smart, witty, and a little bit bitchy. Fishbowl lets you press your face against the glass and see into the lives of 3 unique roommates. I'm not going to read any more, but that has already intrigued me. Kind of sounds like Friends, but it could be something else. But just the imagery of your face being pressed against the glass and seeing into something is quite vivid. So I'm intrigued to see how the rest of this story is told. And then I've got like James Patterson, Judge and Jury. The judge isn't out. The jury is dead. Oh my God. Like I said, this is the first time I'm reading this. And like, that sounds crazy. What do you mean? The judge isn't out and the jury is dead? How are they going to deliberate? Oh, my days. So yeah, I'm already intrigued just from reading the cover. I don't even need to read the blurb, but let's find a part to read. Just like a random, like what they called, review from someone. So this one is from The Independent, and it says, this story has elements of Hitchcock's Vertigo, and its page-turning quality is in a class of its own. Well, there you go. I'm very intrigued to check out James Patterson's Judge and Jury. And it says Andrew Gross as well. I'm not sure if that means that it's by both of them, most likely. So even more intriguing, how 2 authors work together to create one book. I'm intrigued about that one. And then I've got The Tenko Club by Elizabeth Noble, #1 author of the Reading Group. Wait, #1 best-selling author of the Reading Group. That makes more sense. Membership is for life. Oh, well, that made that seem so much more sinister. The Tenko Club. It looks so nice with like it's got this letter, a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, some nice cakes on a plate. And then it says memberships for life. I'm intrigued. So there's this, and it's like, what can we read that's quick? It says, don't miss the #1 bestseller, The Reading Group. Witty, pacey, and immediately engaging. And that's a review from Glamour. So no idea what this is about, but I'm intrigued to find out why this membership is for life. Then we got The Secret Life of a Slummy Mummy by Fiona Neal. And to pick a random review from the Daily Telegraph, it says, there is something of wait. There is something of Bridget Jones's hopeless but adorable quality about Lucy. So maybe this has something to do with Bridget Jones, or maybe not. Or maybe it's about Lucy. Telegraph is saying that Lucy has elements of Bridget Jones in it. So yeah, no idea what this is about, but I'm intrigued to find out. And then the final book from my adoption is Remember Me by Sophie Kinsella. And again, to pick one of the two reviews on the back of the book without reading the blurb, it says, a superb tale about how one girl's memory loss leads to a perfect life. Or does it? And that review's from Heat. And I'm intrigued. I don't know. No idea what that's about. I'm intrigued to find out. But yeah, Mr. Book Doctor, like I said, I don't know what any of those stories are going to be telling me or what I'm going to find out by reading them. But I do know that 5 new books have now found themselves a home. And they're not all going to be read straight away. I'm not like a mega reader. That would be dope. Like a mega reader. Like in my mind, a mega reader is like they've got, how many hands do you need to read? Preferably 2. So maybe like 1, 2, maybe like 6 arms, right? So they could read like, but then they would need like more than 2 eyes. All right. So they got 6 arms and then maybe 6 eyes, because then you could read the 3 books that you could hold. So the mega reader, obviously, so they got six arms, 6 eyes, and it's completely normal because in this, on this planet, right, where the mega readers exist, it's completely normal. When they see people with 2 arms and 2 eyes, they're just like, you guys don't even know how fast we could read books. You guys with your 2 arms and 2 eyes, you can only read books so fast. But us mega readers, we're just skipping pages, reading books, and we're super fast at it. And we can read like 3 books at a time, but we can read all those 3 books, no matter how long they are, in like about, what's a fast time to read a book? A day is kind of pushing it, you know. That's like reading 3 books in a day. That's crazy. But I'm sure there's someone out there that's done it, but I'm just saying. So let's say a mega reader can read 3 books in a day. That's not that super fast, is it? Maybe they can read like, maybe they can read 3 times that. So what's that? 3, 6, 9, 12. Say they can read 15 books in a day. All right. That's a mega reader. What's this got to do with anything? I'm not sure exactly it has to do with anything. It's just, I got carried away with an idea, you know. I started thinking about a mega reader, what a mega reader might look like. I kind of downplayed a mega reader, 6 arms, 6 eyes, only able to read 15 books in one day. That's kind of short-sighted, but you know, for now, that could work for a mega reader, a whole planet of mega readers. Sorry, the point, again, like I said, there was no exact point. It was just an idea I had, got carried away, thinking about the 6 arms and 6 eyes, and now I'm thinking about how I underplayed these mega readers. They're not really mega readers. They could just read 15 books in a day. No, oh, like I said, I just got distracted by the idea, and it's kind of a cool idea, don't you think? A mega reader. Maybe not 6 arms. Maybe they're cyborgs. Oh, that might work for the fast reading. No, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I see it. Sorry, I'm getting distracted again. You were asking me about the books? The stories. Oh no, yeah, no, of course. Like they needed a home. I found them a home. They now have a home and they will be read. That's the main point. I was just No, sorry. Obviously, we don't want to mention the mega readers again because it might send me off on another tangent, and we want to stick to the point of this session. Is that is that right to call these meetings with you sessions? Sessions, yes. Appointments. I mean, whatever you want to call them to be sound more official. No, no, no. I'm not dissing your credentials or anything. I'm not saying you're any less or more than a general practitioner. No, I'm just. Oh no, you had to get that degree as well. No, 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 no. Of course. No, I'm not trying to judge you. I'm just. No, no. Of course. Sorry, sorry. So aside from the books, I was just wondering about all the people in the waiting room. No, of course, patient, of course, doctor-patient confidentiality. But no, I was just, of course, I didn't think that you would just my personal. All right. So wait, you watched it? You watched my video? Okay, that's kind of cool. What did you think? That you can't give me your opinion. We don't have that kind of relationship. Right, no, of course, you are my doctor and I'm just merely your patient, so I shouldn't ask for your opinion on what you thought on the video that you watched and just told me about. That. Sorry, do you check? Do you just watch my videos? You're checking my social media as well? You're a subscriber and you follow me. No, of course. I'm not worried about that. That seems like you're crossing a line or a boundary or something. Maybe you should just wait for the appointment. Oh, it's good to check up on your patients between visits because they might lie about the books. I mean, yeah, no, I don't know about the relationships you have with your patients that you see because there seems to be a lot of them. But no, of course, I can see how you may have trust issues. So we're just going to leave that there. So, I mean, you want to know why Brunswick Bookshop is. I mean, why would I see? You know, like it was the story dealers and the people inside you, but it wasn't really about. No, I see that. I saw that in a reflection. I was thinking it wasn't really about Brunswick Bookshop, although it was. So kind of like Brunswick was the catalyst, and I don't know. It set something off inside me. So when I learned more about it, it was just, I just, I don't know. I wanted to find out more. I'm a curious person. I'm not sure if people are wondering why. I just, it wasn't really a question of why. It was more, yeah. Of course, I understand that there's loads of bookshops and I've been to loads of bookshops, but I guess from going into the shop, I don't know, they kind of gave me a reason to come back. It was less about the books per se, and more about the story dealers. See, it's not like I was kind of planning to have a favorite bookshop, although inadvertently, that is kind of what Brunswick Bookshop has become for me. But it's just, I guess I went into there first and foremost out of curiosity because there's a second-hand bookshop. I can't think of the name of it right at the top of my head right now, but there is a second-hand bookshop that's right around the corner from where I work, and I had been there before, but there wasn't an independent bookshop. And like I said before, I've only really been to like the Waterstones and the W.H. Smiths, and that's where I bought my books before. And no shade against it, especially, I mean, I don't know, I haven't really been to Waterstone in a long time, so maybe I need to go and check out what it was like. Waterstone was kind of, it seemed like, you know, you had your curated sections and you had the little tidbits about books that you could buy and stuff like that. And it was always easy, I could talk to someone. But I think when you go to places like W.H. Smith's, it's more like buying a book is more transactional, like, because they have so many other things that they also sell. It's not like the shop is just for books. So maybe they have someone covering that area. I never really questioned that. It was more of a book section look. You would go through and have a look at the books and you were like, oh, I might pick this up, I might read this. But it was never, I could ask someone a question about this book and they might be able to give me some kind of book dealer, what can I call it? Some kind of book dealer ethos or deeper knowledge that they might know about the book that I might not have known about. And I'd just like, oh, I didn't know this. You've maybe intrigued me more to buy this book. But yeah, I just was curious on that first time when it was set up. I was like, let me check this out. I went in and I loved the layout. I loved the books. I don't even think I bought any books the first time I walked in there. I just went in to look and I was like, oh, this is nice. Look at all these books. I wasn't even worried about the story dealers at this point. I was just walking into the bookshop. And I think that kind of brings me onto the kind of this unexpected thing that happened when I went into Brunswick, and the more I visited, it became a thing of like, I started looking at bookshops in a different way because, like I said, before when I've gone into bookshops, it felt like the process of buying a book was more transactional. I would go online, I would look to find a book, I would go into Waterstones or W.H. Smith's or whatever other bookshop I would go into, and I would pick up a book, I would buy it, but I don't know if it's about the feeling, like the welcoming, like I said, the story dealers, the people that you walk into the bookshop and they're doing their story dealer stuff and they're stacking shelves of books and they're checking in books and, you know, they're doing their story dealer 101 things and they're close to the books, you know, at all times. And yeah, the fact that you can just go and have a nice conversation about books, talk about recommendations, find out what the story dealers are reading, see if that influences what you're going to read next. Like, oh, I haven't heard about this book, tell me more. And then you get like a review and you're like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, all right, cool, you've given me a review. Even if it's a bad one or they're not feeling it, it's a story that they're not feeling, but doesn't mean that it's not a story for me. I think it was even when I was interviewing the deputy manager of Brunswick, he said this really great line, oh, idiotism? Hopefully I was saying that right. But he said, he was talking about an author or a book that he didn't enjoy, but he didn't give me the name of the author or even the book, but he just said that it wasn't a story that he agreed with, or that it wasn't a book that he enjoyed, but he wasn't gonna yuck their yam. I think that was the phrase that he used. And I was just like, what does that mean? He was just like, I'm not gonna like diss this book because I didn't enjoy it, and then but just because I didn't enjoy it doesn't mean that other people might not enjoy it, because other people do love that story. And I think it was more when he actually researched into the author, although he doesn't like his work, he found out that the author was a good person. He does good things for the world and humanity as a whole. So that mattered. And I think that's interesting, because it may not be a work of art that you enjoy, but the person themselves as a human being is a good human being. So it's not like, only thing that comes to mind is like, God forbid, but imagine in this world, I don't even want to talk it into existence, but hey, this is how the idea came, because of being the contradiction of of what he said. So say, for example, Trump, yeah, he, after this run of all the crazy stuff and the terrible things that he's done, I'm not going to go into it politically, but if you know, you know. And then he comes away and he writes this absolutely amazing sci-fi novel, critically acclaimed. It gets like all of the awards, what they call New York Times awards, and all these, starts winning book awards and shit like that. And people are like, hang on, Trump wrote this book? And you're like, yeah. What, no AI? Trump wrote this book? They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, that would be kind of bad in the sense that he's written this amazing piece of art, but as a person, he's not that great of a person. Now, you may disagree, and you're valid to have your opinion, but that's the kind of weight that an author has. Like, it matters to people. Understanding and knowing the person behind the book. And to an extent, it's something I hadn't really thought about, because I'm just reading stories a lot of the time. I don't really research into the authors unless it's a story that I really enjoy, and then I'm like, oh, who is this amazing author? Like, what did they do? Like, what other books did they write? And then I might find out more, and then if there was something that they did that I didn't align with, then maybe that might be deter me. Most likely it probably would. It might deter me from reading any more stories from them, because once learning something, you can't unlearn it. So it's kind of a thing where you would have learned certain things, you would have loved the story, but then you have to weigh up your morals, I guess. I don't know. But, sorry, we were talking about the unexpected thing that happened. No, I was getting to the point. I was just talking about other stories that led me to the story, and basically it's just, I see bookshops in a different way now. They're not a place for transactional books or buying books on transactional basis. You can go into a bookshop and just wander around looking at books, reading blurbs. I mean, I don't know you probably can't just like start reading the book without paying for it, but you might be able to get away with a few pages, so you're just trying to get the feel of it, but don't start like stood there in the bookshop for 2 hours just like turning the pages, and you're just like, oh, book's done now. Don't even need to buy it. That, my friend, is called a library, and you can get a library card and go and do that in a library, but that's not what a bookshop is for. It's still a transaction, but at the same time, it's like more of a community. It's more of a place where you can go to find out more about a book, meet people, meet story dealers, find out about what books they're reading and see if it inspires your story reading, your to read later list. Like, the conversations are irreplaceable. I mean, I'm sure I could have had these conversations in any other bookshop that I'd been in before, but it's not, I don't want to say it's not the vibe, it's not the image I had in my head before going into a bookshop. Like with most things that you buy, you go into a shop and it's not, you don't instantly think about the people inside it. You're going to the supermarket to pick up your bits and bobs that you need, but you're not thinking, oh, there's people that help run this place. It might be an afterthought after you bought what you needed, but it's not always the first thought unless you've had one of those realization moments. And now I'm not saying that I'm going to now go into a supermarket and start thinking about the people. Probably I will. I'm not going to say it's not going to be a passing thought in my mind now, but visiting the Brunswick Bookshop is what made me look at bookshops in this different light. The recommendations are irreplaceable. Sometimes you don't know what you want to read next. Sometimes you just walk around the bookshop looking at books, and unless you're drawn to a book to pick up and read it, you might not know. So you go and talk to a story dealer and you're like, hey, so I've been reading this, this, and this, and those are the last books I read, and I'm looking for something new. I don't know if I necessarily want it to be similar to these books, or I'm looking for something completely left field, but like, maybe you can recommend me something. Then the story dealer will take the data of the books, book 1, book 2, book 3, whatever books you mention to the story dealer, it doesn't matter. The story dealer will then either know exactly the book that you want to read next, or they may recommend you a few books. So they may be like, oh, you might like this, or you might like this, or you might like this. So check out the blurbs and come back to me when you made a decision. And maybe you won't make a decision. Maybe none of those recommendations are interesting to you, but maybe you'll take note of the authors, and maybe you'll read something on the back that makes you think, all right, cool, maybe not this book, and I don't see any other books from this author here, but maybe I'll look up online and I'll see more books from this person. And then maybe I'll then return to the bookshop and say, you recommended me this book by such and such, and I wasn't really feeling it, but I was looking up online and I saw this other book by such and such. I was wondering if you had that in stock, because I would be really intrigued to read it. And either they do have it in stock, or if they don't, they'll order it in for you. And that's, one of the beauties. And I don't know if that would ever be possible inside any other non-independent bookshop, and maybe that's, sorry, this label. Maybe that's just how independent bookshops work in general. I don't know. But the fact that they care enough about the stories to recommend you something that they feel might fit for you, And if you've been in a few times and you become a regular, then maybe they know you a bit better to recommend something else. But either way, it's all about the stories that they're sharing and not about the books. Although it's all about the books, probably, really, let's be honest. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. That's why I have these books. And yeah, I do find it cool that, if you start a conversation with a story dealer, they will ask questions because they're curious about the books. So it's so silly for me to dismiss the books. It's just because I see books as the stories within them, the covers that hold the stories that are portals to other worlds that you can't experience until you've read that book, you've stepped into that world. And that's the beautiful thing about it. It could change your mind, it could change your perspective on things, it could give you food for thought, or it could just be a good read. But whatever it is, that book, that story, you've read it, you've experienced it, you've taken it into your being, good or bad. Sometimes stories don't vibe with you, sometimes they don't resonate with you. Sometimes it's not even a matter of any of those things. But the fact that a story dealer gets so excited about a book or a story and wants to share it with you, you couldn't help for anything less, And I guess it's kind of more about, sorry, you had a question. No, of course, go ahead. What did you want to ask? There's another book. Yeah, you asked about the five, but you didn't really ask about the one on top. It wasn't part of the adopted books of mine. It was just, you want to know what it's all about. It says Bookshops on it. Yeah, sure. So this is Bookshops and Bonedust. And this book I bought on Thursday, which you might think this is silly, but usually I go into the bookshop and I buy a book on a Friday. And usually I would go on my lunch break. I'd go maybe buy some lunch, depending if I had lunch from home or not. And then I would go around some other shops. And then my last visit would end up in the bookshop. And I would have a look around, have a look at a few stories, read a few blurbs, see what's vibing with me, potentially be my next book. Maybe it's a gift for someone else. Maybe it's a gift for myself. This book actually happened to be a free book. And I don't often get free books, but Brunswick Bookshop has a loyalty card where if you spend £10 or more, you get a stamp. And if you get 10 stamps, then you get £10 off your next book purchase. I mean, it doesn't have to be a book. They do so many other things at Brunswick Bookshops, like they've got cards, like greeting cards, and they've got like notebooks. This notebook here that I'm using for my notes is from Brunswick Bookshop. Yeah, anyway, £10 off your next purchase. And this book happened to be £9.99, so free book. I also tried to get another stamp, but I was just being cheeky. I know I didn't spend any money. But yeah, I don't know, I was drawn to it because I saw Bookshops on the side, and I was like, "Oh, bookshops! I'm in a bookshop. I was just talking about a bookshop in my last video. Let's check out this book." And then I saw Bookshops and Bonedust. It said high fantasy, first loves, secondhand books. I was like, well, this kind of sounds like my life. And I was down to clown and see what this story's about. It says a few of the reviews on the back. Let's go for the first one. It says books, baked goods, and necromancy. What more could you possibly want? I mean, what more could you possibly want? Books, baked goods. I mean, necromancy, I could give or take it, but I'm intrigued. Then it says hilarious, heartwarming, and wholesome as heck. Wholesome stories, heartwarming, baked goods, secondhand books, the necromancy. Then it says, these are all separate reviews, sorry. The first review was from Genevieve Gornichi. Second one was from Nicholas Ames, maybe Eames, Ames, I think that is. And the last review is from Heather Fawcett, and it says immersive world building and charming characters, a spellbinding read. Well, Bookshops and Bonedust, I am looking forward to reading you. So yeah, that was it. Like, the bookshops, I was in a bookshops. It was like bookshop meta, bookshop inception. Like, I was picking up a book in a bookshop, buying a story in a story dealership. It was all kind of meta inception. Everything was going on, and I was kind of drawn to it because of the blue. But I mean, that wasn't the main thing. It was the main thing. I saw bookshops, and I was just like, what's this book about bookshops? Actually, let me rewind a bit. To be clear, I was actually looking in the sci-fi section, because this book came from the sci-fi section. I was looking in the sci-fi section because the deputy manager of Brunswick Bookshop, he was doing his story dealer thing, and he was talking about Ursula Gwynn, and I was just like, cool, I need to find out more about this Ursula Gwynn. So I was in the sci-fi section looking for books by Ursula Gwynn, and then I got distracted by the bookshops. See where the meta comes in? So that's why I got this book. So I guess the stack makes 6, but like 5 of them I adopted. It wasn't my fault. Like, what was I to do? Like, just leave the books? Let someone else take them home? No one else in the office wanted to take them. And we were clearing up the office, we were moving locations, so, I gave them a nice, happy home. And that's that. And the other book, like I said, I had to buy it on the Thursday, and I didn't get to do my Friday ritual, and which is going into the bookshop, and because I was working in a different location, and soon I'll be working in a completely different location. So I'm going to actually have to plan my visits to go to Brunswick Bookshop. And yeah, because I'm going to still have to get that Friday time in, like my Friday ritual. I'm going to have to go in, have a little look around. Maybe there might be another day after work that I need to plan a visit and go and have a look around the bookshop, because, the stories, the book dealers, the people that keep the bookshop running, the conversations, the everything. My curiosity grows. What have they changed? what's new in? I need to know. And see if it's going to be new in my to read later pile. Or is it just going to be like, these are interesting stories. Never heard of any of them. Maybe one of the authors might pique my interest and I might find out more about another author and I'll be like, yeah. But the main thing is, amongst everything that I have said, is that the books matter, the stories matter, the authors matter. Without the authors, we wouldn't have the stories. We wouldn't know about the stories that they want to tell, the worlds that they want to take us to. I had a thought randomly just now. We have fiction and non-fiction, but just because it's innate for humans to tell stories anyway, even within non-fiction texts, are there still stories being told? Like, I don't read much non-fiction, but from the few that I have read, my favorite non-fiction book that comes to mind is the Etymologicon by Mark. I can't think of the author's surname. I'm pretty sure his first name is Mark. I can like see the cover in my head. But yeah, I love that book because it talks about the words and where they come from and their connection to where they originally came from to where they are now and what their meanings are. And yeah, I found that really interesting. But he told the story, yeah, it was told in a story format. So it was kind of nice to follow like the story of how he was understanding these words and where his curiosity came from. But do they do that often in non-fiction books? And then it kind of, now that's making me think that although we call them non-fiction, and if they're still telling stories within them, I don't want to try and blur the lines here, but like, is there really a non-fiction genre? Just a question that I was pondering over just now as it came to me. But what do you guys think about it? Who was I talking to right now? What do you mean? When I said you guys? It's a turn of phrase. I was just talking, you guys. It's just a thing that the kids are saying now, no? You're not a kid, so you wouldn't know. Exactly. You're much older than I am, Mr. Book Doctor. Sorry, Book Doctor. So I can't speak about that. But just know it's a turn of phrase. And I know you're probably going to leave this session with me and then go searching online. Don't look it up. You're not going to find the answers you're looking for because it's not online. It's an offline thing between me and the books. So I don't know how you're going to find out about it online. So I'm not sure how to go. I think one of the most interesting things for me, Book Doctor, see, I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to you across the way to me. In your chair, you're just spinning around. For most of this conversation, it feels like you haven't even been listening to me, Book Doctor. Oh, But you're writing things down now, are you? All right, cool. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. It, you want to know about what brought on the curiosity? I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I think it was the books at first. The books brought me in. The stories, reading the blurbs. It just started with one visit, I guess. And then one time I was talking to a story dealer after buying a book. And I think I remember like I was coming in a couple of times and then they were like, we see you coming in often. You should take a loyalty card. And I was like, nice. I'm looking forward to that free book. Well, not a free book, but like £10 off whatever I purchase. So it could be a free book, like it was. And I can do like a little dance when I buy my little book, get my stamps. And then, one conversation with a story dealer led me to go in again and again and again. Well, it's not even just that one conversation, just the people in there, the way that it made me revisit stories. Because I think what brought it on more was the fact that I had this New Year's resolution one year, and I never make New Year's resolutions. Usually my New Year's resolution is like, I can't think, it's something stupid like, I can't think of what I usually use. But I don't usually make them because let's just see what this year brings as opposed to making a recommendation or something that might or might not happen. But that one year, I was just like, look, I want to read more books this year. That was my one thing that I wanted to do. And it just so happened that an independent bookshop, Brunswick Bookshop, also opened at the same time when I made that shout out to the universe where I was like, I'm gonna read more books. So I started reading the books that I hadn't read. And then after I had finished that book or another book, I was going to, there's another great bookshop that I go to or that I've been to, Word on the Water, which is the London Book Barge. I should go down. I bought a book from there before. Like, actually, there was one. Usually when I go down to Word on the Water, I usually walking past and chilling around that area. We've had like Word Zoo meetings there and stuff like that. But the craziest thing was that all the time that I'd been around the Word on the Water bookshop, I hadn't actually been in. And I think there was this one time I was walking past and I actually went into the bookshop and I started looking around and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a wonderful place. I hadn't actually taken a step in here, or maybe I had, but not consciously where I was actually there for the books. Maybe I was just doing something Word Zoo-y, or because like on the Word Zoo they do, we do every summer we usually do like a Word Zoo on the Water where there's like poets on top of the book barge and musicians on top of the book barge, and we do like a open mic and we have featured acts. So I think there was times where like I've been on the book barge or I've maybe been in, but it wasn't to look at the books. Why? I don't know why I yawned. Probably because I'm tired. But that's down to the fact of it being a long weekend, Book Doctor. Like, I mean, it's crazy that you make these appointments so late. Like, I was expecting like an earlier appointment, but you always like late appointments. No, no, of course, I understand you have a busy schedule. I'm quite lucky that you see people 24 hours a day. It's quite amazing, this service here you have at the, you see that I'm trying to lead you to finish what this all is called. You like, because I asked the storyologist, and the storyologist said I didn't need to know, but maybe you can be a bit more. No, what are you? You don't need to write that down. I'm just curious about the world, the not the world, like the place where you work. I need to know more. Of course, no, I don't need to know more. This is about me and the books and the bookshop and the video that wasn't about the bookshop, but then was about the bookshop. Inspired by the bookshop more. I think ultimately this this idea of going into Brunswick and finding out the story, that story led me onto a bigger realization, I guess. It's kind of bigger than Brunswick Bookshop. It's kind of a thing where this really allowed me to see that it isn't necessarily about Brunswick, but I wouldn't have reached this conclusion without visiting the Brunswick Bookshop. Kind of like, there's those experiences that you have that without having that experience, that catalyst, you might not have come to that conclusion at that point. And that matters because there may have been another catalyst at another time or something, but it doesn't change the importance of that moment of meeting that bookshop, that person, going to that place where you had all these things or ideas of what that place might be before getting there. And then once you're absorbed in the world, you realize it's not even like that. I think my best example of that is like poetry. I think, yeah, my best example for that is poetry, because before I got into poetry and performing at open mic events and stuff like that.
Was that meant for me?
No, Alexa, that was not meant for you.
Right, thought so.
That really threw me off. My whole entire train of thought there, Mr. Book Doctor. You really need to control your devices. I'm not even going to say the name again, but you really need to control your devices. They're throwing me off. I didn't even know they were listening. Always listening. Yeah, I guess they have to be always listening because, like, if they're not always listening, then how will they know if you call their name? But I digress. So funny. What was I saying? uh, Poetry, I remember. So the poetry, see, that's what I mean. I said poetry. What the fuck? Sorry. That really threw me off. Yeah, before I got into poetry, I didn't know what the scene was going to be about. Like,
I had this whole vision of like poetry. The poetry scene was just like people wearing berets, clicking and saying their poetry, because that's all I had. Like the only version of events, those are not the right words that I wanted to use, but like I said, I'm completely thrown off after that. So those versions, that version of events, I could only imagine it because what I had seen before, that's what the words I was looking for. From what I had seen before, like I only knew of it from movies or TV shows, and when they're kind of talking about the poetry scene back in those days when I was watching it, that's what I saw. Of course I saw Def Jam Poetry Jam, but I didn't know what an open mic event might be. I just knew what I saw online. And it wasn't until I actually went to that first poetry event that I saw that none of what I actually saw in my head of what I thought it was going to be was what it was like at all. It was just a complete 180 on that. So really, it's kind of, Brunswick kind of gave me that simple reminder that bookshops can be more than transactional places for buying a book. It could be a place where you find a story. And that story could end up meaning everything to you or nothing at all. But it could change your world. It could change your life. It could be a footnote in your story. It could be something that comes up later in life. It could be the starting of a conversation. But without you reading it, you wouldn't have that starting place. And if you never found it in a bookshop, you wouldn't have it to read. And that's not to say that you don't buy books online, because you can, of course, buy books online. And I have bought maybe 1 or 2 books online, but you don't get that experience. Again, it's like a form of transaction. Not that, again, buying a book is completely transactional, but it's more than that. And that's kind of what going to Brunswick kind of reminded me, that it's what a bookshop can be, you know? And as I come to the end of this meeting with you, Mr. Book Doctor, I guess I wonder if you have any questions for me. You've been oddly quiet in this meeting. You spent a lot of time letting me talk. You didn't interrupt me much. Oh, you don't do that often. Sometimes you like to just listen and write notes. And sorry, is that a voice recorder that you have there? You like to record your sessions. No, that's fair. Then you can listen to it back and find out more and get deeper insights and things that you missed. I completely understand it, but I just didn't realize that recorder device before. Yeah. Okay. So you've got nothing for me? No prescription? Oh, sorry, that's what you're writing up there. Right. Again, so that the stories will find me. Now, this is seeming familiar. No, okay. Oh, there's a help group. Like a group of narrative nomads meet up in like some kind of AA type of situation. Is that what you're Is that what you're saying? And you've put that on my prescription as well. So do I know when the first... You'll let me know. Of course, that's how you guys like to work in this system, I guess, that I'm not allowed to know the name of. I'll find out. Okay, Mr. So you're going to do the same thing that the storyologist did. You're just going to leave me in the room. Do you have like other rooms where you see people? You do. I see. Well, whoever's funding this obviously has a lot of money. Are there other book doctors? You can neither confirm or deny that. Right. All right. So I'll see myself out then, should I? Yeah, no, that's fine. I can barely hear you when you're already out the doorway. Right. Guess that's the end then. And I just have one question to leave you guys with. Has there ever been a place that completely changed how you thought about something? It could be anything, any place. I'm curious to know. Let me know. And until next time, that's not even the words I wanted to use. Until some point in the future, again, I don't know, that thing really threw me off completely. I can't even lie. That was madness. I'm gonna have to watch back the footage afterwards, and I'm just gonna be like, did I even call the name? Like, did I call the name for there to be an announcement? What's worse is when I said I didn't call it, it said I thought so. So why did you pipe up? Sorry. That really threw me off. It completely messed up my train of thought because I was just sat here for the rest of the time. I was just like, but you said you thought so. So why did you? Anyway, if you got to the end of this video and you watched that part, you didn't skip over it, then you know what this is about. Oh my days. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you got this far, if you enjoyed and you want more of this, more of me, then subscribe. And yeah, if not, then maybe this was the only video you're going to watch. If not, there's more for you to explore. But yeah, haven't really got much else to say other than thank you for watching, and bye. That really threw me off, man.